Tree say how and then I say so the at more pambo. Tibe cemetery. Your Excellency, a year I'm free a year as a Krogwa and an important ever. Now the choir with Madame for no see a money show of a Kesman Kwame Apiokumi. You could do all the Niamana El Cosu be, Your Excellency. It is heart-wrenching. Seminole can say, Tano Nsio Idaho is to talk great. It's me and the middle of the Tano Nsio Namanantiso, Dominion Jesus Christo. That is how bad the destruction of our waters have become. And we have to turn ourselves into citizen vigilantes to arrest some Chinese people and send them to the police station on this matter. Besides that, Achimota Forest, Yayantia said, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources said, year in, year out, a certain Owu family, ING Asasi free on 1927, Yen Chia Oka, Eti Omodibi Oma Owu family, no. Your Excellency, wait there, and your question. A Yachopper, Achimota Forest, here the Owu family bika, a binding Chia Owu family nika. Na forest no and na ho. Nemo miyelisio your forest say the year say no in our quest to benefit from the natural resource of this country. I don't think we can continue like that as a nation. And then now wo obeye sebeya yelisio ya say no abedri yebetimi reclaiming na yebetimi abodi da one oban amada chinchima. Thank you.
Please let's take Uncle answer. So we can, because I think now we've taken almost 9 or so questions. Uncle Ebokwansa, we do Sadiq from NTV, and then we will take the answers. Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Vice President and incoming President. I attended your lecture at Rekusu. When I came back, my teacher was simple, as I was simple. The Bokwansa attended the lecture and encountered the next president. Some of us are already convinced that we are going to be the president. But some people out there are campaigning that you are a liar. All over the rural areas, when you go and you talk about your achievement and what you will stand doing, the old folks will say, but the people came here and said you are a liar. Now you are telling us that you are, you represent the future. Please, how do you convince my elder sister in my village, Kufi Profo, that you should get up, I'm 82-year-old lady, that you should get up, drag herself and go and vote for a man who is for the future? I just want you to tell the people of Ghana who you are, why you want to be president of this republic. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadiq, NTV, and then His Excellency would now give the answers from Sadiq. From Northern TV.
Yes. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, Tamale is one of the fastest growing cities in West Africa. Over the years, we've had perennial water challenge. Your government cancelled for the Tamale Water Project in 2020, same for Yendi and Savannah region. Your Excellency, as President of the Republic, what will be your solution to address this perennial water challenge? And what is the update on the Tamale Water Project? Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. If you can pick the questions.
Your Excellency, I want an assurance. I recall the President's first 100 days in office, I drew his attention to a vision of President John Kufuor to the effect that he will fix the inner ring road of Kumasi to restore the Garden City glory. In fact, we saw the Aswa interchange, the overhead constructed. We saw improvement in the Sofola interchange. Now we have seen major constructions at the Swami interchange. But we have left with Satase roundabout interchange, Ahonjo roundabout interchange, Awanga Junction interchange, and airport roundabout interchange to fully complete the inner ring road of the Garden City. I want assurance from you to the people of Kumasi, whether indeed in your reign as the President of the Republic, you will fully complete the inner ring road of the Garden City. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I see Andy. Please give a microphone to Andy.
Trust. On your campaign talk, you're making promises. In some instances, a renewal of those you've made in the past. Thankfully, you've been reminded of one you made in 2016 to relieve Ghanaians of the suffering. 7 years down the line, there is still suffering. This time round, excruciating hardship. You are appealing to Ghanaians to promote you to the higher office of the land. Respectfully, do you think you should be trusted with a mandate that you are, or you have what it takes to relieve Ghanaians of what they are going through? Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. So basically the question is that
because otherwise, where would you have gotten $5 billion from those things? Where would you have gotten $5 billion from your reserves to keep up all the payments you needed to make? So that has been for us the game changer. And so the pilot that we are seeing with the gold purchase program and the gold for oil program, I want to institutionalize it going forward. And this is why, by the grace of God, when I am president next year, we are going to institutionalize this. Someone asked me, oh, why is it that the French West African countries have not seen depreciations in their currency? Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, and all of these. I said, well, they are anchored. The currency is anchored to the euro through the French franc. So they are anchored. Unfortunately for Ghana, we don't have an anchor. There is no anchor for the city. So what I am going to introduce, what I want to institutionalize, is something that we have learned from this crisis. You will not find it in any textbook. Maybe some people will now write it in a textbook. You won't find it in a textbook. It's not in a textbook. Because what I'm going to do is fairly simple, as I said, but we have had to learn about it. Because what we're going to do is to say that if you want foreign exchange, and we've tried it already, the pilot with some of the big companies. One big company had 3.1 billion Ghana cedis. They wanted to externalize 3.1 billion Ghana cedis, and they were looking for foreign exchange. Can you imagine the impact on our market? If someone comes out with 3.1 billion cedis looking for dollars. So they were trying to talk to the Bank of Ghana and all of that. So their chairman flew into the country and came to see me and said, we are having these problems and we have to externalize our dividends and all of that. We have 3.1 billion and we are looking for dollars. We're looking for dollars from all the banks and all of that. So I listened to them and then I asked, will you take gold? He said, oh sure, gold is forex, that is not a problem. So I called the governor and said, look, why don't we put this 3.1 billion through the gold purchase program? And guess what? It was done virtually overnight, and their money was given to them. So essentially, what we're saying is that the demand for the dollars, you bring your cedis, we have the gold. There's no doubt. I mean, the gold is there. I mean, we have 5 billion ounces, even not yet explored, as the Geological Survey Authority has told us. That's $10 trillion. Right? So bring your cedis, we buy the gold, give you your forex. It's that simple. So your demand for the forex will be met by an equal supply of gold, and Ghana will see stability of the currency long term. So we're looking for a simple solution to a long-term stability for the city. And that is what we are bringing in, and that is what is happening. What I'll tell you, and I'm sure maybe you have heard, is that other countries have started coming to Ghana to learn about our gold purchase program. Other countries have started coming. The Bank of Ghana is inundated with requests for people to come and learn. As I said, this is not in textbooks, but this is what we are doing. So I think that the fundamentals ultimately has an impact on the exchange rate, but the crisis that we have gone through has now made us to think a bit outside the box and bring in this new solution. Now,
can you throw a little light on it for us, please? Thank you.
Reserves, the level of the reserves that you have, inflation, and so on. When we came into office, during the first term before we hit COVID, between 2017 and 2019, you saw the fundamentals pretty much strengthening by all accounts. And the exchange rate depreciated in those 3 years by less than 5%. That was the lowest depreciation in the currency for 28 years. 28 years. That was the lowest depreciation of the currency. I think we went up, even after COVID, we didn't get that high a depreciation. But the biggest shock for the economy came in 2022. All hell was breaking loose in 2022. Inflation, 54% as of November 2022. Exchange rate had depreciated at 54%. And of course, you could look at the fundamentals were in trouble at that time. You saw fiscal deficit going up, you saw inflation going up, growth declining. And so for me, it wasn't surprising, even though it was shocking, the extent to which the exchange rate went. So the point that we are making is that once the fundamentals weaken, you'll get it shown in the exchange rate. And this is why we've seen that recently, even though we're depreciating in November at 54%, this year the depreciation has been 18.6% so far. Right, we're looking at about 18.6%. So you are looking at a situation this year. Why is the depreciation lower? Because the fundamentals have strengthened. The fiscal deficit is under 5%. We are running a primary surplus. Growth has gone up first quarter to 4.7%, higher than projected. The reserves are increasing. And the Gold for Oil program is helping. So as this fundamentals and inflation today is around 20%, so there's been a strengthening of the fundamentals, and you've also seen more relative exchange rate stability. In all of this, and I want you to take this away. When I look at what was happening in 2022, I mean, the 54% depreciation of the cedi, it was very scary. But in 2022, this economy was on the verge of collapse, because you saw our reserves declining very steeply. The exchange rate was blowing up, inflation was up, and my worry at that time, frankly, was that I could see this country moving towards Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was what was clearly in my mind at that time, because you saw protests in Sri Lanka. They had no fuel. Doomsaw was there. And when you saw the way our reserves were moving in 2022, we were heading right in that direction, that we're going to get queues on the street. We couldn't buy fuel, we couldn't pay for so many things. And it was in that context that I came up with two policies. One was the gold for oil policy and the gold purchase program of the Bank of Ghana. Because when I looked at it, sometimes when they say necessity is the mother of invention, because once when I looked at it, we were headed for disaster, But I made the case. I looked at the numbers, and I said, well, how are we going to get foreign exchange to buy fuel in this declining reserves? And then I looked at gold. I said, let's take a look at gold. I looked at the reserves of gold that we had, and it was 8.7 tons. 8.7. That is from independence to 2022. Our gold reserves were 8.7 tons. 8.7. I mean, when you look at the US, they had 8,000 tons in gold reserves. The UK, Germany, France, all about 2,000, 3,000 tons. And Ghana, the largest gold producer in Africa, had 8.7 tons. So I said this is something that we need to change. And so Ghana needs to start, because the thing about gold for us is that we don't have to export anything to get gold. If we have cities who buy gold right here locally, so we can use our cities to buy gold without needing to export cocoa or oil or diamonds or timber. We just buy the gold locally. That is what we have that many countries don't have. And that, whatever we can do to pay off the whole family and preserve the forest, we should do. I'm inclined to agree with you on that.
It was a suggestion.
Yeah, it was a suggestion.
Yes, it wasn't a question.
No, it wasn't.
Yes.
It was a suggestion that if we can preserve the forest without getting it chopped down and all of that, I think makes.
Thank you, Excellency. Umaru Sanders, about the Fulani discrimination, and also the issue, you speaking only on digitalization and no longer the economy.
Yeah, I think we're coming to that. Let me see. Yeah, okay, let me take this question. I wrote it, but I can't need to see it. But I mean, the issue of my in-laws. My in-laws feeling discriminated against. I will take very strong exception to that. As president, and even as vice president, I don't think I want to see my in-laws discriminated against. So Marusanda, tell them that we're going to fight with them to make sure that discrimination doesn't take place. Then also, you talked about digitalization, my focus on digitalization, and that the people think that I've run away from economics, and that economics has gone over me, and so I've gone to digitalization. I think digitalization has gone over them. You know, they have no, it's very strange, you know, the people cannot see the nexus between digitalization and the economy. It just doesn't make sense. You know, when I spent a year at Oxford University in 2009 as a researcher, the economics department, I wrote a book on monetary policy and financial sector reform. And I made a point in the book, this was in 2010, this is 14 years ago before I became vice president, made the point that Africa needs to go digital because the global economy is going digital. And if countries stay behind, they will miss out on the fourth industrial revolution as we missed out on the other revolutions. And there's good reason, because the digitalization allows us to formalize our economy. Informal economies are very difficult to manage. And so if you want systematic, management of an economy based on data and based on systems, the fourth industrial revolution, a data-based revolution. If you have an economy that doesn't have data and systems, you can't do much. Your entry into the fourth industrial revolution, your ticket to entry is a digital identity. And as I've already said, that is the first thing. By issuing the Ghana card, you have a digital identity. You know your population. Today, when a child is born in Ghana, right at the point of weigh-in, they give the child a Ghana card ID as well as a birth certificate ID. We're the first country in Africa to get this done. You're getting these two IDs. So, and in not long, you're going to see NIA is going to go to all the schools and issue all the children with Ghana card ID. So we will have a complete database. And they've done the pilot, so I expect them to start before the end of this year. That we've presented to be done under the Korean facility. When we say the Koreans have given us a grant and a concessional loan of $2 billion. And we've had to take a number of projects to them for funding. I think that bridge over there from is one of them. And then Concourse Sports Stadium, I have to follow up with the minister on that one. I can't give you a direct answer on that. Then the question came, the first 100 days, what would you do? I'm definitely not taking a honeymoon. We are going to get straight to work to put things in place. I think that for me, the focus is on jobs. And so you have to put in the budget as quickly as possible so that you can make sure that the tax amnesty regime comes into place, the flat tax regime comes into place, so that by the time of your first budget in March, these things, the Ghana First, Buy Ghana First policy, that we put it in and pass the law so that we can get the Ghana First policy. The e-levy will go because we have to focus on digitalization of the economy, and so we need to take out the e-levy as well. So these are some of the things that I believe that we can do very, very, very quickly as we come in, within the first 100 days. But I think that we're going to be very, very hard at work to look at things that the business moving. The tariff structure for businesses, commercial versus residential, we have to look at it. The flat rate regime has to come in immediately. Those things that will get business moving very quickly to create the jobs are the things that we are going to do immediately, so that we are serious about business and serious about job creation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency.
In 2016, which was the case actually, in that regard. But I think that we've moved on significantly since 2016. And we can point to a few things that we have, because at the end of the day, you reduce suffering broadly by creating jobs so that you give people something to do, or you bring in some social interventions to ameliorate the problems, the hardships that are there. So you need to look at what we have done. We've created at least 2.1 million jobs. Per capita income in CD terms has gone up almost more threefold. In dollar terms, per capita income from 2016 has gone up from 1,978 to 2,436. So GDP has gone up, per capita income has also gone up. As I said, we've kept all public sector workers employed. We didn't lay off anyone during the COVID, and we have done that, and we've kept the lights on. We suffered so much from doomsday. Everybody was suffering from doomsday, but we have kept the lights on for 8 years. Teacher trainees were suffering. We restored their teacher trainee allowances. Nursing trainees were suffering. We've restored their allowances. People who were using the NHIS had major issues. The people who had sickle cell were suffering because the hydroxyurea, which was really needed and wasn't covered by the NHIS. Today it is covered by the NHIS. Today kidney dialysis is covered, as well as childhood cancer was also covered. You also see that for the people, the issue of rent advance, the National Rental Assistance Scheme has come in to really help in that. During COVID, we gave free water for a year, free electricity. For people in the rural areas and remote areas, we brought in medical drones to deliver medicines, vaccines. Kumasi before their last game there, and when we met, the coach and the players were very clear that what they really needed, and this is why I've put it in our manifesto, was an international standard pitch. That the pitches that we have are difficult to play on, and we needed international standard pitches. So in fact, in the manifesto, we need to do it. And I believe that we need professional management in terms of the maintenance of these pitches. And we need to train people and also bring in the people with the knowledge. And so we are going to do that, because we just build the pitches and there is very little maintenance of the pitches and the management of the pitches. So I think this is going to be one of the things that we're going to do. The building of the 5 other stadia, as I said, we've made that commitment actually as far back as 2019. With all these new regions that are coming on board, we will have to build stadia for them to encourage sports. And I believe that we've done quite a few already in terms of the multi-purpose sports stadia. We are doing 10, we've completed 6, 4 are almost done, and we're going to do another 5. So, I mean, the record is there that we've done 10. I think that we can do another 5 without much of a problem. Then the question came on the flat rate and whether second-hand clothing and spare parts will be paid the same rate. No, I think that the categories will be different. And for the flat rate, what we want to do is to bring a lot more predictability in import duty payment. At the moment, there isn't predictability, and there's a lot of discretion that seems to come in from time to time. And so what we are saying is that we're going to bring in a flat rate in cedis. So if you're bringing in spare parts, and there's a 40-foot container of spare parts, you will know exactly what the duty is for the spare parts, say 20,000 cedis or 15,000 cedis or 30,000 cedis. It's a flat rate. So when the 40-foot container arrives of the spare parts, then you know you pay 40,000. If you are bringing in second-hand clothing, and that is attracting 20,000 cedis duty, you will know beforehand that it will come. It's not that it will arrive and then the price will change because they will say the exchange rate has changed, so you pay more. But it will be a flat rate. So there's not going to be any confusion. Chicken will attract a different rate from, spare parts will attract a different rate from rice, will attract a different rate from second-hand clothing. But you will know beforehand, before the goods before you import the goods, they will all be published. And so that we get away from, these under-invoicing and misclassification issues. These are really hampering revenue collection. Many importers invest time in misclassifying. They will bring in chicken and they'll say it is fish or something. But the misclassification and so on, we will have to deal with that. Then the issue about cars for teachers and what we want to do for journalists and all of that. I really believe that one of the major problems, and we address this in the manifesto, that hampers workers and livelihoods in our country is the fact that we operate a cash-based system. Unlike in the advanced world where they operate a credit-based system. So in ab initio, life is much harder if you're a teacher in Ghana versus if you're a teacher in the US or the UK. Even if you are paid the same amount every month, a teacher in the UK will consume probably 5 to 6 times more goods than you in Ghana. Why? Because they are able to obtain credit and pay over time. And so we in Ghana here, we have to accumulate cash for whatever we want to buy. If you want to buy a car and the car is costing 100,000 or 150,000, you have to look for 150,000 to pay for the car. But if you were in the UK, you'll probably be paying 1,000 every month to pay for the car, or much less. But so your salary goes along a much longer way. So one of the things that we are bringing in as far as our manifesto is concerned is to move Ghana from a cash-based system to a credit-based system. It's very, very important because the reason why the credit-based system works in the advanced countries because they are able to compute credit scores for everybody. Credit scoring is key to a credit-based system because it then assesses the risk of any borrower in terms of borrowing money for a fridge or a car or a TV or whatever. So the credit scoring becomes very key. 14 years ago, I wrote a book on monetary policy and financial sector reform in Africa. This was in 2010. And in this book, I was making the case for why Ghana and Africa generally, we needed to move towards the credit-based systems. And the reason why is to really bring down the stress on living in our system. The reason why they are able to do what the credit system in the advanced countries is because the databases exist for the computation of the credit scores. Galamsey, no, I sent it by. You can say yes, and she share your mining sector. Say Galamsey for only need pen licenses. You get more. You be sisan. Science share. You be the easy mrepa ma ubia oye Galamsey ene ubenya mining license odebi ejuma. So yedi some roundabout district committees, traditional leaders through the Minerals Commission, umubenya licenses, umube register ne umugano card. Then yebe community mining schemes, geological survey authority, behwehwe umu survey no. Na omo who said ahana gold no, ahana gold no, and then said omo to gold no, a trial and error. But what could to her when ya know what when ya know now say assassin. But yet the data bahane a country of say Galamsey for or small scale miners. Ahana gold no into ye shisha community mining scheme or ama monko ho untutu omo ya na ya to omo gold no adia ko Bank of Ghana nti san hihye no na yede ba ibe hihye Minerals Development Bank ama mining small scale mining sector also say the Agri Development Bank ye hihye no for equiafo no ye hihye new Minerals Development Bank ama small scale miners na aboa wo no menya equipment the common use, are there different common user facilities? If you have two gold now put the shame one a high percentage of gold amount. And I get able to amount in the community mining schemes so that more gold from their activities. Indeed, San Yeshi share Basua, maybe said, Galamsey, no, the trust, CZ. Obia excavator na yashino na or whatever. Sadia no a bit so na dia ko.